Okay, continuing forces. Forces part 2, if you will. So I want to look into calculations. So FG. If my thing weighs 10 kilograms, that is kind of heavy, then what is my FG? Well, my acceleration due to gravity, G, is going to be equal to negative 9.80 meters per second squared. This is an acceleration. This is a mass. So we can take those and multiply them together and get, let's see, 10. We go, we get 98 newtons. And so that's going to equal my 10 kilograms times negative 9.80 meters per second squared. This would be a negative 98 newtons. This would be my force gravity. So negative 98 newtons. So my force normal is going to be equal to 98 newtons because it's in the opposite direction. And so what about the other things? So let's say my force applied, this mass here, mass 2, this is mass 1. So mass 1 equals 10 kilograms. Mass 2 equals 1 kilogram. And so the force gravity on mass 2 is going to be 1 kilogram times negative 9.80 meters per second squared. Gets me 9.8 newtons. So we know that this equals negative 9.8 newtons. So force tension is da-da-da. But force applied is going to be 9.80 newtons. So what is my force opposed? Well, it depends on the acceleration on this mass. But really, we could calculate it if we knew how fast this was going, and we could use a v squared equation to get that. But in general, the idea I want to get across is using a mass and an acceleration to get there. So if the block was accelerating at 10 meters per second squared, how much force is that? Well, I know it weighs. If we rearrange F equals ma, and I want my force. So I don't really have to do any rearranging because I know the mass. That's going to be 10 kilograms. And this is just applied to the block. And this is my acceleration. Then I get 100 newtons. So nothing crazy once again. And so that's my force. This is my net force. So force net equals 100 newtons. So, and that's going to equal my force applied minus my force opposed, or force friction, in this case. So if I knew my force applied, and I knew my acceleration, then I can get my force friction. And then another thing you can calculate is a thing called mu, or your friction coefficient. And this is just going to be force friction over force normal, the absolute value of that. And that's how you get mu. And it's usually, it should be below 1. This would be like 100% friction. So some more things to think about in forces.